A biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
A little preview to the political agenda ahead for the coming week. A privilege today to check in with Jasmine Yuen. Jasmine is the ACL State Director for Victoria. Hey, Jasmine, welcome along.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for having us back in Vision.
Hey, Jasmine, let's touch on something that is a little bit of a win, because every now and then, whether it be in the federal parliament or around the states and territories, there are all sorts of moves to remove the Lord's Prayer from the introduction to parliamentary sittings. And there's been a bit of a win in Victoria. Give us your account. What's happened?
Yes, Neil, this is very encouraging because you don't always hear victory in the state of Victoria, but this is a really good start. I hope that it will be encouragement for all Victorian Christians. So what happened is 2 weeks ago, we were actually campaigning to retain the Lord's Prayer in the Victorian Parliament for a long time. So what I hope to see, because I've been seeing that Ireland's government has been backing down on a lot of things. So I hope this time round, the Lord's Prayer is not a huge issue. And I hope that he will really drop it so that to keep it there, because they really don't have the time to, have debate and workshop things that is more inclusive to replace the Lord's Prayer. So what happened during the debate on the 31st of July, we actually get even better result is because Jacqueline Syme, who is the Attorney General, she actually backflipped. So what she said is that, well, we don't have proposal to remove the Lord's Prayer. We are not having any plan to do that. Well, of course, we know that it is not true, but then we know that they are backflipping, they are backing down because of the pressure coming from the community.
Okay, pressure from the community, and sometimes we wonder if we sign a petition or write a letter or go and visit our MP, whether that does any good, but there's a lot of Victorians have been mobilised over this, and there was quite a significant petition that went around.
Yes, there are actually almost 11,000 signatures. That is huge. And therefore, once the petition hit more than 10,000, it actually will have the chance to debate, and that is exactly what happened. But apart from the Victorian signing petition, there are also a joint faith leaders to the MPs as well as Jacinta Allen, and we also have ACL social media campaign as well. This is something that worth talking about is because in the past few months, we are actually having videos of the Liberal National Party, 3 altogether, that we flash out from the social media. And I actually frame the message saying that, well, the Liberal National Party is standing with the faith communities and Victorians to retain the Lord's Prayer. Where is Labor government in this? And I actually, in all our social media, tag Jacinta Allen into it so that she actually see those videos. And at the same time, I'm framing the message and say that don't erase our tradition and Judeo-Christian heritage. And somehow all this pressure is just work, and praise the Lord for that.
Amazing tradition, amazing Christian heritage. And I guess there's encouragement, isn't there, when you've got the Attorney General doing a backflip, saying, we're not going to debate the Lord's Prayer. That actually gives some encouragement that when you are lobbying on a whole lot of different fronts, that there's a lot of good things possible.
Yes, there is a scripture that I have been always using it to remind our Victorian Christians and ACL supporters. There is Galatians 6:9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. And that is so true, and we can really experience this come to fruition. But of course, in Victoria, we have a lot of things to continue to battle on.
You know, Jasmine, sometimes I suspect that even Christian believers don't think this is all that important. Somehow or other, a little bit of sentimentalism at the start of the Parliament, having the Lord's Prayer, reflecting on our heritage. But there's something particularly special that happens when that prayer is prayed, isn't there? That we acknowledge our context, that we are the servants, that God is the one who's in control, and if we don't have that context right and appreciating his righteousness, the likelihood is that we can just descend into tribalism. So it does actually play a pretty significant role, doesn't it? How do you see it?
Yes, definitely it is. Well, during the advertisement just now, you mentioned someone is coming to talk about how government take control of everything. This prayer is really important in the parliament because it's actually reminding our MPs that they are not above everything and they are governing because God put them there. And so they are to govern for the people, not for themselves, not for power. And so the Lord's Prayer is really important to remind them of their role. But at the same time, it's also, coming from a migrant background, it is so important for migrants to understand what history and traditions we come from, how Australia is found. And the Lord's Prayer is exactly doing it, reminding all of us that our background, our heritage is based on Judeo-Christian heritage. And without that, we don't have the freedom, we don't have the prosperity, we don't have school, we don't have hospital. This is very important reminder.
Very important. Hey, lots of issues on your plate. Let's talk about another backflip here at the Allen government's backflip on hospital mergers. What's happened in Victoria?
All right, so there has been rumours for a few months now that the government want to merge the regional hospital into one because, of course, we know that the reason why is because we are having a huge state debt that is now out of control. And we were told that the government is actually paying 25 million per day, interest only. So you wonder how they are going to pay all this. And therefore, perhaps merging the hospital together is really to cut down on budget. And so this has been rumors for a few months, but then last week we know that coming from Herald Sun, it is actually not rumors, it's actually recommendation given to the government to really merge some of the hospital. And we found out that it's not only for regional hospitals, it's also for example, Royal Children's Hospital in the city merging with others. Now this is concerning. The biggest loser will be children and other people who are sick and the elderly as well. So what happened is in the past few months, we really see that hospitals are really running out of cash and elective surgery could be delayed. And there is also a leak email coming from the CEO of the Alfred Hospital asking staff to turn off lights if they are not using it in order to cut down spending. Now, so all this come together last Wednesday. The government say, now we are not going to force the hospital to merge together. In fact, they are injecting 1.5 billion into the health service instead. But the thing is, they are going to set up local health service network based on geographical locations. Now, the problem that I find is that when all these local health service networks, they actually have a few hospitals partnering with each other, helping together, merging the IT system, the budget, and the payroll or things like that. And some of this, based on different locations, some of this government hospital is actually partnering with denominational hospital, such as Mercy Hospital for women and St. Vincent Hospital. Now, this network, they will be managed by a new government agency called Hospitals Victoria. And so what is the government doing is that they are adding another layer of bureaucracy to manage all this network of hospitals. What it means is that, well, there could be government control slowly, slide by slide, step by step. So my worry is this. In the long term, will these networks put pressure on denominational hospitals such as Mercy and St. Vincent to gradually provide abortion and euthanasia?
Well, we're certainly on the side of those denominational hospitals and them having a freedom to choose not to provide those sorts of services. We've seen instances, though, in the ACT with the way that the government took over the Calvary Hospital. Is that something that, is on the radar in Victoria, that the Allen government might even see that style of takeover of denominational hospitals? Do you think this might even be a step in that direction?
That is my worry. There is no sign just yet, and there is no rumors. I'm still finding out how they are going to manage that local health service network. It's still early days. We don't know how they are going to do it, but I would definitely reaching out to the denominational hospitals organization and find out whether that will open up a door that really let the government's hands into the denominational hospital and then do what they do. Now, even though there is no sign just yet, but this could really be one of the very first steps, just like ACT Calvary Hospital.
Yes, and of course there's challenging times in Victoria because the government there is under tremendous pressure. As you say, the state debt is huge, and so there's some of this manoeuvring around trying to provide healthcare, despite the fact that the just even the daily interest is just huge.
Yeah, and if you go back to the Nazi time, for example, there is certain crises open up the door for the Nazi to take over control, saying that we are going to protect you. But at the end, that is how the freedom is lost.
Okay, let's talk about a trans awareness campaign for Victoria. What's developing there?
Sorry, I lost you just now.
Okay, so there's a trans awareness campaign in Victoria.
Yeah.
What's developing there?
Yeah, so it's from the Allen government again. So they are injecting $1.5 million into this trans awareness campaign. It's said to be the Australian first. The purpose is to raise awareness on non-verbal discrimination against trans people. Now, so all this campaign, they are going to put it online, but I haven't seen anything just yet. So there is a video with a few scenes is showing how trans people are being discriminated against and how people, Victorians, can be their support and be their ally. So let me bring up a few scenes, just a couple of them. There are many. So one scene is in an elevator. So a woman was feeling unsafe to be in the same lift with a trans woman, so she left the lift. Well, this is common sense, to be honest. I wouldn't go into a lift if there is only one man or more than one or two. So because I feel that that is not safe. So not to mention trans women. So this woman is, she has more right or, to keep herself safe to get out of the lift. But in that scene, what this campaign is saying that, no, that is something not right to do because it's discriminatory. Another scene is on a tram scene, is a man letting a trans woman to have a seat in a crowded tram, but leaving other ladies standing on the tram. So, we have been always taught that in a polite society is the ladies first. And on a crowded tram or train is the elderly and the pregnant woman who have the seat. So this whole campaign is actually belittling women and undermining women's safety. Is actually putting trans women above biological females and their safety being put at risk. So I just feel that in this campaign, biological women have no place in the society anymore in Victoria. But at the same time, you see there is sheer hypocrisy and double standards coming from the Allen government because on one hand, they want to protect women against domestic violence. But on another, they are putting women's safety at risk by letting men into the safe space. And this is not only in the public area, but also at school as well.
So I can hear you saying that, well, everybody needs a safe space, but it seems to be that when you have these sorts of campaigns, it elevates the trans community above the safety of biological women. So that's a fair enough position to take there, isn't it? I mean, there's all these sorts of different ways that you can interpret what the government might be saying, but it tends to be with a left-leaning government like the Allen government that it'll be a sort of a favour for trans and not so much favour for women. That's a challenge, and that's something I guess you've got to speak up about.
Yeah, definitely. Is misleading. And to be honest, as you mentioned, I advocate for the safe space for everybody. Men, women, young children, elderly. Everybody needs a safe space, and there is our human rights. And Victorian government has always been saying that equality is non-negotiable. But equality, what the true meanings of equality means that everybody should have their safe space and should have equal rights and equal opportunity. Not only the trans or the LGBTIQ community, but in this campaign, it seems that Victorian government is telling us otherwise. Equality is non-negotiable, but their meaning of equality is only applied to the LGBTIQ community, but not everyone.
And there's a government feeling the financial pressure, dreadful state debt, and spending money in an area that you might even say is ideologically driven rather than for the safe space for everyone, and especially with ordinary, you might let me just say, ordinary biological women in mind. Jasmine, I want to thank you so much for taking some time to share these thoughts, an update of what's going on, especially in the state of Victoria, some special challenges in Victoria that other states are not even facing. But Jasmine Yuen is the ACL State Director for Victoria. To connect with Jasmine and to support the sorts of programs that she's involved in leading in Victoria, you can connect with her at acl.org.au. And you can find resources, you can read articles, you can get updates on the developments that are happening, acl.org.au. Jasmine, thanks so much for updating us today on 2020.
Thank you, Neil.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.